Chances are, if you were sent this video, you are going to attend a game night playing the free game Get Stuffed and want to enjoy the experience as much as possible. I do want to preface that the guide today is to get you up to speed with the complicated game of Get Stuffed, and it is not meant to make you an MLG pro, so let's get right into it. Get Stuffed is an objective-based survival game that mirrors that of Dead by Daylight, but with a humorous twist along with some elements taken from Among Us. Each map holds different objectives for the good guys to complete, that are denoted by a puzzle piece icon through walls. For instance, Wordle puzzles on the map Skyfall, pill sequences on the map Kevorkian Institute, and many more. The basic goal is for the good guys to complete objectives in order to fill up a progress bar and escape. Let's now talk about the different roles to play. Essentially, there are 3 different roles to be aware of: the survivors, the killer, and the antagonist. Survivors are your standard good guys. Their basic goal is to finish tasks while living and get out. There are different sub-roles that you can spawn in with as a survivor that give different abilities outside of just completing tasks. The most common is the runner, which comes with a dash ability that launches the user forward. Other sub-roles include the priest, ninja, pirate, medic, and engineer. To keep things simple, we won't discuss what each of these roles do exactly, but if you are interested in learning more, you can research everything within the game within the codex in the menus. Outside of just completing objectives though, survivors still have to stay alive and defend themselves to the best of their ability. The best way to do this is through collecting scrap. Scrap can be obtained through interacting with brown boxes around the map, lockers, and even on the ground or through some role passives as well. Scrap can be used for many different things found in varying vending machines and nodes around the map. Currently, there are 2 types of vending machines the game has to offer. One machine contains the shop, which sells various weapons and tools, along with consumables that give you different buffs, as well as perks called traits, which can be very helpful in win you games once you learn it a little bit more. The other machine is your standard vending machine that holds all drinks, but uniquely sells energy drinks that are a great way to buff your speed and regain some health if you were a bit low, since you do not regenerate health on your own. You can also buy other consumables as you wish. Circular nodes are also scattered throughout the map. The main structure you can place as all survivors is the AGM, which can be extremely useful. AGMs forcibly slow down killers when within their radius, which gives you enough time to escape safely. You will also hear beeping when a killer is within the radius, so that there are no surprises. You'll know when a killer is close when you place AGMs, so make sure you make the most of these structures. The last basic gameplay mechanic to note is the horror note. This mechanic lets you know if the killer is close to you and can see you. Listening for this can be helpful, as it lets you know it is time to run in most scenarios. For your first few games as Survivor, try to get used to collecting scrap in any downtime between objectives popping up. Take your time, no one is perfect when first playing the game. The next role we will talk about is the killer. To be completely honest, this is extremely simple to understand, and it really comes down to playing each and every one of them to get them down. There are currently 14 killers in the game, with more to come. Players that get the opportunity to choose this role though will have 3 options upon the start of the map. When playing the killer, you may see that red circles will pulsate throughout the game. This happens when survivors jump or sprint, which allows you to get an idea of where players are if you were struggling to find them on bigger maps. Keep this in mind even when you are not playing the killer. Sometimes playing slower is the best way to survive. Moving on, different killers have different quirks that really define them as characters. For example, the Signal does crazy amounts of damage, but he also moves very slowly and cannot see players unless they are walking or running. Before the round starts, there is a specific message to survivors that also gives you a hint as to what killer the enemy is playing. As you play the game more, you will have a better understanding of how to play different characters and also how to play against them as a survivor. The last role we will go over is the Antagonist role. This role is the one that really defines Get Stuffed as a game. In other games like Get Stuffed, it is really simple. It is just the good guys versus the killer bad guys. But now we put in an imposter that opposes both the survivors and the killer, just like Among Us. Antagonists are players disguised as survivors but have their own win conditions that change based on the antagonist they spawn in as. So when playing a normal survivor, don't just trust everyone you meet, as there may be an imposter among you.
Sussy baka.
Jokes aside, an example of an antagonist that is pretty easy to understand is the Axe Murderer. This antagonist looks just like any other survivor, except their goal is to be the last one standing by taking out every single person in the game. If you catch someone doing suspicious acts or sabotaging the friendly team as a survivor, make sure to tell your friends and kill them before their deeds get worse. Yes, take matters into your own hands and make sure you kill the antagonist when you are sure you have found them. So what happens when you die in this game? Most lobbies have it set so that you do respawn as a survivor after a given time once per game, as resurrection by friendly living teammates is pretty uncommon. Even when you are dead for good though, there are still ways to contribute to the team. Once you are a ghost, you will generate spirit points, which you can use for set abilities you can change between games in the lobby, invest in map-specific events that will pop up as you see them, and also change the map through putting up boards on windows and other means. Understand that dying does not mean you are dead. You are going to be dying a lot, even as a veteran player. The last quick thing to talk about is making sure that you have the right settings to use proximity chat in-game. You won't be able to talk in Discord while playing, so this is a very important step. First, go to your settings and under the social tab, make sure your communication is set to open. Then go to key bindings, scroll all the way down to the bottom until you see the voice chat control, and set that bind to whatever you want your push to talk to be. I personally have mine set to my mouse button, but it really comes down to preference. So this was a pretty quick beginner's guide, but let's just go through things and make sure you understand the game. The main optimal flow of the game is that first, survivors do objectives when they are available. Then, they find scrap through looting brown boxes, lockers, and other sources in the downtime while finding the antagonist, and continue repeating the process until extraction becomes available. If you have extra time before your game night begins, consider checking out the sandbox below the tutorial tab to learn how to complete different objectives and read up on different areas of the game to give yourself an advantage. Hopefully this guide brings you up to speed enough for you to enjoy the game and not feel completely lost. Make sure that you fix your settings before you hop into lobby, and don't be afraid to ask questions when you are confused. If you're looking for a group to play with, I recommend joining my main channel's Discord server, where we host game nights for not only Get Stuffed, but other games as well like Jackbox, Gartic Phone, and more. Thank you all so much for watching, but until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.